Lesson 4, solving two-step inequalities. All right, we're getting into our two-step. We just focused on what happens when there's just one thing to do or one step. Now it's our two-step. Just like with two-step equations, the first thing we want to undo is the addition or subtraction. And then we want to undo that multiplication or division. When we get to that second step, remember the second step is the tricky step, because there's a very important thing you have to remember. If you multiply or divide each side of an inequality by a negative number, the sign is going to flip. Let's write that in there. Remember that your sign or your inequality symbol flips. All right, let's just get right into it. Practice is going to be the best way to understand it. So, first one, solve 5x minus 4 is greater than or equal to 11, and then it wants us to graph the solution. First thing we're going to do is undo our addition or subtraction. So I see minus 4, so I'm going to add 4 to both sides. Remember, split this up if you need to. You did it to the left, so you should be on the other side of that line, so we should be adding 4 to 11. 11 plus 4 gives us 15. We have 5x. Now I need to undo my multiplication or division, so I'm going to divide by 5. 15 divided by 5 gives me 3. Pay attention, I divided by a positive, so my inequality sign comes down the same it would because it was positive. So there's my solution. This wants me to graph my solution. So whenever you have to, you draw your own number line, put your number in the middle, a number to the left, and a number to the right. Now decide, is it an open or a closed circle? And should your arrow go to the left or to the right? Hopefully your graph now looks like that. X is greater than or equal to 3. This entire thing is your solution, not just 3, so have that whole thing written. Let's look to the right. B is being divided by negative 3, added by 4, and it has to be less than 13. Remember, we get rid of our addition or subtraction first. So I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. 13 minus 4 gives us 9. We now have B being divided by a negative 3. To get rid of dividing by a negative 3, I'm going to multiply each side by negative 3. A little alarm or something should be going off in your head. I'm multiplying by a negative. So what does that mean with my inequality symbol? It needs to flip. Right now it's less than, so I'm going to make it greater than. Now evaluate 9 times negative 3 gives us negative 27. Now graph that. Make your own. It doesn't have to be a huge graph. Make your little graph. Put negative 27 in the middle. I want a number to the left and a number to the right. Remember, with negatives, be careful. This should be an open circle, and your arrow should be going to the right. B is greater than negative 27. All right, let's try these ones on the bottom. I just want us to solve them. We don't have to graph. If you want to go back in and graph or pause and do a graph just to practice, go for it. It's really good practice. So let's take a look at this next one. 4 minus 3D is greater than or equal to 19. I need to subtract 4 on both sides first. Remember, we're not adding 3 because that 3 is attached to the D that's really being multiplied. So let's get rid of minus 4. So 19 minus 4 is 15. Make sure you keep that negative with the 3. So it's negative 3D. So I still need to get d by itself. So that means I need to divide by -3. Right now they're being multiplied. An alarm should be going off. I'm dividing by a negative, which means my inequality sign is going to flip. And 15 divided by -3 gives me a -5. That's our solution. All right, next one to the right. X is being divided by -2, and it's also being subtracted by 8. So let's get rid of that subtracting by 8 first by adding 8 to both sides. A -6 and a +8 gives us a +2. Different signs subtract. Take the sign of the larger. Let's bring down what we still have on the left. So I see x is being divided by -2, so I need to multiply by -2. I'm multiplying by a negative. That means my symbol needs to flip. When I multiply those, I get -4. So x is less than or equal to -4 is your final answer. If you wanted to, pause, practice a graph for each of these. Otherwise, we can keep moving along. Last one here on this page. Which graph represents, oh, just kidding, not the last one. Which graph represents the solution of -7, x plus 3 is less than or equal to 28? Well, in order to be able to find the graph that represents the solution, we need to figure out what is the solution. So we need to actually solve this first. When I see parentheses, the first step you should do in solving this is distribute. So -7 times x gives me -7x. -7 times a +3 should give us a -21. Bring your inequality sign and the 28 with it. Now let's solve this. First thing I'm going to do is add 21. Remember, get rid of your addition or subtraction first. 28 plus 21 gives me 49. -7x. Still need to get x by itself by dividing by a -7. Think, what should we be doing here? Well, I know 49 divided by -7 gives me -7. X is left on the left. Hopefully you notice we divided by a negative, so my symbol needs to flip. So it should read x is greater than or equal to -7. Maybe do process of elimination. Look at where are the points at -7. Like here it's not, and here it's not. They're both at +7, so it can't be C or D. So look at now A and B. X is greater than or equal to -7. Which one shows the arrow showing greater numbers than -7? If you said B, you are correct. So B is our choice here. All right, we still have two more. Solve and graph the solution. These ones are very similar to what I just had us do. We have the distributive property first with our parentheses. So if you want to, you can pause, try these on your own, and then press play when you're ready. If you don't feel quite ready to try these on your own, even though I highly encourage it, you're on your own, try it out, come back, you can maybe see your mistakes and where you went wrong. But otherwise, let's go over these together. So first step, distribute. So I get -4n plus 40 you should have. -4 and a -10 gives you a +40. Now I'm going to subtract 40 from both sides. They have different signs, so we are subtracting. 40 minus 32 gives us 8. Take the sign of the larger. You can bring down that inequality sign if you want. We're not quite done. We still need to divide by -4. -8 divided by -4 gives you a +2. You divided by a negative, so you have to flip your sign. So you should have n is greater than positive 2. Give yourself a nice star if you got that correct. Otherwise, let's fix it. And let's check our graph. You might have to fix your graph. Put 2 in the middle. Maybe you put a 1 and a 3. Maybe you did something a little different, and that's fine. You should have now an open circle at 2 with your arrow to the right. Nicely done if you've gotten that. Give yourself a nice star for both of those, or at least once you fix them, put a star so you know they're right. Let's look at our next example. We have to distribute, and look, we're on the right side, so be careful. So I'm going to rewrite negative 3 is less than or equal to, what is half of 8? You should have 4. And then plus this would be 1/2 y. Alrighty, let's solve this. Look at where we're adding 4. Look at where your y is. It's being multiplied by a half, but it's also being added by 4. So let's subtract 4 on both sides. Negative 3 and a negative 4 gives us a negative 7. This canceled, and we still have 1/2 y. To get y by itself, we're going to divide by a half. Now be careful, we're not dividing 7 in half. We're essentially doing almost the opposite. We're doubling it. So I want to know how many halves are in 7. There's 14. So we have 14. Negative divided by a positive is a negative. It's less than or equal to y. Now, I don't really like to see it, and I'm going to get rid of some of this so we have some more space. Let's keep this one over here. I don't like to see it in this order. I would prefer your variable come first, so I would rewrite it as y. Now, if you flip where your y and your 14 is, you also flip the sign. And now it's easier for you to graph. Put negative 14 in the middle. Number to the left, number to the right. And you should have a closed circle with your arrow to the right, because y is greater than or equal to negative 14. Give yourself a nice star if you got those correct. Fix yourself if you need to. Let us know if you have any questions. I know this was kind of a lot. Pause, rewatch whatever you need to, and let us know any questions.